Hey YouTube, it's Grace, and in this week's video I'm going to be repainting one of my Minecraft doors. I forgot to film this intro before I started painting, so that's your sneak peek. I originally painted this door probably 2 or 3 years ago, I honestly don't remember. I have since gotten a lot better at making straight lines, painting, matching colors, and I also got higher quality paint and brushes. So I decided that I was going to redo it because I have been working on kind of updating this room here, and I feel like the doors also needed updated. You could sort of use this as a tutorial if you want to try it for yourself, but keep in mind I have like already painted it, so I'm just kind of painting over it. But anyways, let's get into this video. Now, since this door is already painted, I'm just going to talk you through the steps that I took to get to this point. So when I decided that I wanted to paint this door, the very first thing I did was go to Google and find a reference image. From this image, I could count how many pixels wide and tall it was, which is 16 by 32. And I could also zoom in and get a really close look at the different colors that were on the painting. After I did that, what I did was I actually went over to the door with a tape measure and I measured how many inches wide and tall it was. Most doors in the US are 30 by 80 inches. I'm not really sure what the sizes are in other countries. You can really do this on any size door. The numbers will just be a little bit different, but all you do is you take the width, which in my case was 30 inches, and divide it by 16 pixels because that's how many pixels wide it is. And then you take the height of 80 inches or whatever your number is and divide that by 32. Once you have those two numbers, that is like the size of each pixel. So after I had all those numbers, I just went ahead and cleaned the door because it was very old, and then I primed it with white paint just so that the different colors would be able to show up better, and then I made the grid on top of that. But then after the primer was completely dry and I finished the grid, then all I had to do was look at my reference photo from the beginning, zoom in and look really closely at those colors to try and match them the best I can, and then count kind of over and down or over and up and line them up the best I could. And I think I ended up doing 2 coats of paint, but the paint that I used back here was really cheap, so that's why I'm redoing it, because I just want it to look nicer. Because it looks nice from far away, but when you look closer you can see that the paint isn't totally like opaque and the lines are not as clean as they could be, so I just feel like I could do a lot better job. I think the easiest thing to do would be to start with the darkest colors and work my way up. So I mixed this brown, which is looking kind of dark on camera, but in all reality is much lighter than the darkest brown I already have. I think my problem the first time I did this was I made the contrast too high, so I'm gonna try to like mute everything down a bit. The difference in these colors is not super dramatic, but I feel like it's enough that it's gonna make a lot of a difference at the end. Now you might be thinking, why are these pixels taller than they are wide? They're not perfect squares, and is that going to cause an issue? The answer here is I don't think so. I have painted like 4 different doors in my house at this point, and one of them is very tall and very skinny, and the design still looks pretty decent on it, I think. Sometimes after a long day of painting, I wonder why my entire body hurts, and then I realize that half the time I am sitting like this, and that is probably why. This is the second color that I mixed, which at first I thought it would be like too orange, too gray. Then I looked at my reference. Sorry, my knee just popped. And I realized that a lot of these colors are a lot more like yellowy, orangey tones. But a lot of what I painted the first time around was more reddish tones. And so I think this is actually an improvement, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Also, just a disclaimer, if you live in like a rental property where you can't permanently change your living space, or if you are someone who's young and still living with your parents, 1, don't do this without permission, or 2, don't do this at all. I first painted my door I think when I was like 18 or 19, and it took some convincing on my parents' part, but yeah, please don't just do this assuming it will be fine, because some people would probably care a lot. This is the third color I just mixed compared to the second. You can see it's a little bit lighter. You're probably curious how I'm mixing these paints, but honestly, I really couldn't tell you. The base is like a color that I mixed ages ago for other Minecraft paintings, and I'm just adding like random amounts of these paints to try and match it the best I can, but really I'm just eyeballing it, so it's kind of hard to describe. Here's a progress check so far. I think this color is probably changing the most. I looked at the reference and it's supposed to match like this, but for some reason I matched it like this. I don't know why. I have decided that I'm getting rid of the clouds because I just don't like them. I feel like I drew them at a really weird angle, so I'm just repainting the whole sky plain blue. I didn't film myself painting the different shades of gray, but I made the darker one a little bit lighter so that the contrast wasn't as high. I also cleaned as much of the paint off of the door frame as possible because I got some primer on there when I was painting this room. I spent pretty much all day working on this. I think I started around 10:30 this morning and it is 7:30 now. If you remember what it looked like at the beginning, up close you can tell that there's a huge difference now. The lines are so much cleaner, the paint is completely opaque, and the colors are a lot like smoother. I don't know how else to explain it. Alright, so I actually ended up changing the color of the blue in the windows to be a little bit lighter and a little bit less saturated. But here is the door a couple days later and in natural lighting. I think I definitely met my goals of making the paint lines cleaner, making it more opaque, lowering the contrast of the colors, and then making the whole thing a bit warmer and brighter. It's really not a huge change, but it kind of just looks like I've updated my textures in Minecraft. But now I'm curious to see how it looks in real life. Doesn't make the sound. This looks so cool. But yeah, I think I am happy with it. So I think that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you're interested in seeing any of my other art, or if you want to see a better quality picture of this painting that I just made, then check out my Instagram and my TikTok because I have tons of content on there. Also, I just want to say I'm filming this super in advance, so I'm not sure when you're going to see it, but it's like mid-December now, and I just got YouTube partner, and that has been a goal of mine for a really long time, so I'm really grateful. So thank you so much. But yeah, I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!